नोटबंदी को लेके हाहाकार मचा हुआ है पूरे देश में। मोदी सरकार का जो बहुत फेवरेट नारा था, अब की बार मोदी सरकार, अब ये बदल गया है, अब की बार लंबी कतार। हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए है पूर्व वित्त मंत्री पी चिदम्बरम। Mr. Chidambaram, my first question to you is that where the opposition is concerned, there seems to be a lot of disunity in the opposition in Parliament. Where the JDU is concerned, for instance, they are with the government, and where the opposition is concerned, I mean, they're not really united on this issue.
Why should every opposition party have the same view? If there are 10 or 12 opposition parties, it's possible that there are two views or even three views. The point is, the entire opposition, and if my assessment is not correct, the overwhelming majority of the people of India have come to the conclusion that this was a completely misconceived exercise to demonetize so-called high denomination notes. Whoever advised the Prime Minister that the 500 rupee note is a high denomination note has never been to a market in the last 10 years.
Okay, where Ghulam, you might be saying that we are landing the country in a mess, etc. But where Bill Gates is concerned, he is with this government, or at least with the Prime Minister. He's praised this demonetization, this move that we've made, and he's saying that it will lead to a cashless economy. So one of the richest people in the world, and Bill Gates no less, is one with the government.
Yes, of course. Bill Gates doesn't visit a village in India, doesn't attend a weekly fair, weekly market, otherwise called Shandy. In Tamil it's called Sandai. Bill Gates does not have to buy grain or rice or atta every day after collecting your daily wage. Bill Gates does not have to bring his cucumber or brinjal or fruit or vegetable to the weekly market to sell. So obviously someone in the position of Bill Gates will not complain. Have you heard of any equivalent billionaire in India complaining? Of course they won't complain. Well, so what does that mean? It means nothing.
Well, okay, I mean, you may not agree with what Bill Gates is saying, but where Moody's is concerned, they are upbeat about India, and they're kind of saying that the ratings are fine. You think in the days to come that would change that mood of Moody's?
I don't know. In fact, I once said, who will rate the rating agencies?
Okay.
Why be impressed by the rating or the derating of these rating agencies? Our concern must be the people of India. Today, since the 8th of November, today is the 18th of November. 10 days have passed, and I've just come back after taking a round. Every branch bank, every ATM has long serpentine queues.
You say,
and the government does more somersaults than a circus clown. First they say 2,000, then 4,000, then 4,500, then ink your finger, then produce something, and then they reduce it to 2,000. What kind of preparation is this? I just heard a bank manager say his bank branch has not received any new notes in the last 48 hours.
You've been saying that you support demonetization, but you don't support the method.
No, I didn't say that. I said I support the objectives which were put out by the government, namely stop corruption, stamp out black money, and put an end to counterfeiting. Please read my statement of 9th November. Those three objectives I support, the Congress party supports. But this is not the manner or the method to go about fulfilling those objectives.
If you were finance minister, how would you have done it?
Of course I would not have done this. Imagine if the UPA government had done this, and for 10 days people were on the streets, what the BJP would have done. Would the BJP have said, this is a great move? This has nothing to do with which side of the fence you are.
You've been saying,
basically, this is an ill-conceived move.
You've been saying that the gains are very small, but the fact does remain that, at the end of the day, the government's balance sheets will look good, the RBI's balance sheets would look good. A lot of its liability would be wiped out.
Both are wrong. This has no impact on the government's balance sheet. The government hopes, underline hopes, that the RBI will declare them a bonanza as dividend. But that's only a hope. It is not based on any law. It is not based on any economic principle. It is not even based on sound central bank accounting practices. I've spoken to central bankers in the last few days. No central banker has told me that the RBI's balance sheet will reflect a huge upsurge in reserves and a dividend can be declared. Apparently, there is a game or a design behind this. But I hope that the government and RBI have not struck a secret deal already.
What do you mean by the game between the government and the RBI?
No, if they've already struck a deal that we will do this and RBI will eventually extinguish
at the expense of the country and
2 lakhs or 3 lakhs worth of currency, and then you will declare as a dividend. In the meanwhile, let the people suffer. If they have struck a deal on that, that would be unfair and very bad. I don't think they have struck a deal. For what you tell me leads me to suspect that such a deal is in the working.
Such a deal is in the working, but that would be equivalent to, like, burning your house down in order to kill a fly.
I don't know. That question you have to put to the government. But let me tell you very clearly, there is no precedent for a central bank to create a corresponding artificial reserve and then declare a dividend. RBI's dividends are declared out of income earned by RBI. That comes out of interest on foreign assets, foreign currency trading and bond trading.
Okay, Mr. Chidambaram, if the government has been talking about the fact that there's going to be a 200% penalty that's going to be levied. A lot of experts are divided on this issue of 200%. What is the legal sanctity to it? That is what they are saying. Some say that there's no legal sanctity to it, although Secretary DEA says that it's going to be treated as concealed income.
You see, this government is proceeding on the basis that cash is bad. Anybody who has cash is a holder of black money. What they forget is, in the hands of the overwhelming majority of the people of India, not all, overwhelming majority of the people of India, and their cash transactions are perfectly legal and legitimate. If as a result of those cash transactions, a farmer or somebody who's got non-taxable income shows a cash balance and invests that money in the bank only for the purpose of exchanging it to new notes, I can't see how the government or the income tax department can slap a penalty of 200%. See, all this is going to lead to thousands of cases of litigation.
But even where the law is concerned, what we understand is that there is no legal sanctity to it in the sense that it can't be treated as concealed income. I mean, I'm declaring my income in my income tax returns.
Well, so I'm not here offering legal advice. I'm not offering legal advice to anyone, or certainly not to the government.
Where your government was concerned, you also attempted a demonetization.
No, you're wrong again. We simply said quite clearly, upfront, transparently, in January 2014, quiet announcement was made, pre-2005 notes will be phased out and you can exchange it over a period of time for new notes. Ample time was given to people to exchange the old notes for new notes. Did you see these queues outside the bank branch at that time? Did you see this queues outside ATM? Did you see this panic? So what we did is the right way of going about replacing old notes with new notes. That's how other countries have also done it. So please don't compare the smooth changeover that we did in 2014 to the complete mess that has been created by this sudden so-called demonetization.
Rahul Gandhi says that this plan was leaked and it was known to the government. I mean, to a lot of people who are friends of the government. What is the evidence that the Congress and Rahul Gandhi have?
Well, this question can be put to the Congress party spokesman, but what I read in the papers is there are some pieces of evidence, isolated of course, but some pieces of evidence that the BJP West Bengal unit deposited 1 crore of rupees barely hours before the announcement.
The BJP says that they have, PAN cards and every other detail to prove that this is money.
I'm not reaching any conclusion. I'm only saying you wanted to know what the evidence is. Now, this evidence, of course, has to be tested, but this is the evidence.
How do you look at the fact that the government is saying that the reason why they've come out with a 2,000 rupee note is because they have to print a lot of notes, especially like say where a 1,000 rupee note is concerned. If you print a 2,000 rupee note, then you reduce the number of notes that you have to print. So if you look at it logistically, I mean, the government does have a point in the sense that there aren't so many notes that they can print. So the quicker they put the notes out in the ATM machines, the easier it is for everybody.
So why don't they print a 5,000 rupee note? To be even simpler, no? To print a fewer number of notes. That's not the question. The question is, you say 500 and 1,000 are high denomination. People are using those notes for corruption. People are using those notes to hoard money. And why are you printing a 2,000 rupee note? In fact, it is twice as easy now to corrupt a man with a 2,000 rupee note than a 1,000 rupee note. What happened in Kandla day before yesterday? The first case of corruption with a new 2,000 rupee note, the distinction belongs to the state of Gujarat. The Kandla Port Trust, 2 officials were arrested for taking bribes in 2,000 rupee new notes. What kind of an argument is this? You should not corrupt man with a 500 and 1,000. Can you not corrupt him with a 2,000? You will not be able to hoard money with a 500 and 1,000 rupee note. You cannot hoard money in a 2,000 rupee note. This note has nothing to do with corruption or hoarding. Corruption and hoarding are because of behavior of some people. You have to go to the root of the behavior and find out legal and taxation and other ways to hit at the root of corruption and root of hoarding. Answer is not to change the note.
So when you're talking about where demonetization is concerned, I believe there are just about 2 countries in the world that have attempted demonetization till now. And we also understand that where Raghuram Rajan is concerned, he was, he was not in favor of demonetization. He did make his opposition known to it. And that's the reason why after he left and the new governor took over, this entire exercise began.
Well, I think I can confirm that Dr. Raghuram Rajan was opposed to demonetization. His argument was the gains of demonetization are so small and the pain and hardship and disruption will be so huge, it's not worth it. I think former Deputy Governor Chakrabarti of RBI also has made the same point in one of the interviews today, that this has been considered from time to time. When I was finance minister, it was considered. Considered in the sense that somebody will moot the idea at one of the meetings, then somebody will look into it. The CBDT formally looked into it in the year 2012-13 and put out a report that demonetization was not the answer. I would ask the government to publish that report.
I asked this question about this report to officials in the finance ministry and they say such a report doesn't exist.
Sorry, a paper has quoted the conclusion of that report. So obviously that newspaper has it. I want people to get that report and publish it.
What's the way out? There are lots of questions that have been asked, the manner in which this entire exercise was done. Questions are being raised whether it was leaked in advance to certain people. There is a demand for a JPC by certain sections of the political class. Do you think a JPC is a good way?
You see, I don't think the leak is the main issue. Leak is a subsidiary issue. The main issue is the misery and hardship caused to crores and crores of people. Let me give you 2 numbers. I did a back of the envelope calculation. 135,000 bank branches. Something like 2 lakh ATMs. So on an average, if you take 500 people outside a bank branch and outside an ATM every day, 10 crore people are standing out there every day. If you take the daily casual labor, people who earn their bread every day by doing casual manual work, that is 32.8% of India's working population. That translates to 15 crore people. Now 15 crore people are without work, because there's nobody there to pay jobs. So I think this is not anecdotal evidence. This is hard evidence. Why should 10 crore people stand in lines? Why should 15 crore people go without money to buy rice or atta? All this should have been thought through. If you are taking a decision on demonetization, if I was the finance minister or the prime minister, I would have consulted first the chief economic advisor.
You think he was not?
I'm pretty sure, and there is a lot of whispers that the chief economic advisor was not consulted on the matter. He learnt about it after.
One surgical strike, you think, has negated the other surgical strike on black money?
See,
and do you think it will impact the BJP's prospects in the elections?
I'm opposed to using this war-mongering language when you deal with our internal security or with our economy. When there's a real war, you can use these terms. But you can't use these terms and, get carried away. What is a surgical strike? I mean, the first one was a cross-border LOC action. This is a completely ill-conceived, misconceived decision which has caused misery and hardship to crores and crores of people. Please.
One final question, Mr. Chidambaram. How do you think it would impact the coming elections, whether it's the BJP or any other political party?
I don't know, but certainly people will ask questions. And you can't get away by saying, if you don't support it, you're an anti-national. I mean, that's the worst argument I've heard for every issue. You must meet issue by issue, point by point. You must have a reasoned debate. In my statement of 9th November at the AICC briefing, I raised, I think, 8 questions or so. There are no answers. In my column last week, I raised 7 or 8 questions. There are no answers. I mean, you can't draw a veil of silence and then say, if you ask questions, you're anti-national. If you don't believe me, you're anti-national. What kind of an argument is this? People will ask. In fact, the people are already saying what you said in your intro, ab ki baar lambi qatar or something like that.
So ये थे पूर्व वित्त मंत्री पी चिदम्बरम. उनका कहना है कि ये जो पूरी जो ये ख्वाहिद है ये ब्लैक मनी को लेके ये इसको ठीक से ना सोचा ना समझा गया और बाहर एटीएम्स के बाहर जो लाइनें लगी हैं ये कांग्रेस का और पी चिदम्बरम का भी कहना है. ये अब ऐसा लगता है कि अब की बार लंबी कतार यही मोदी सरकार का देश के लिए फरमान है.